Ford gets most of its attention in America on the backs of its F-150, F-Series pickup trucks in general, as well as the Mustang, a little Bronco sprinkled in there as well. But Ford has just killed off one of its best-selling nameplates, and one that's not going to garner a whole lot of tears in this video, but the dealers are absolutely livid that Ford has gone off and killed one of its best-selling models, which is going to force Ford buyers to, well, maybe not afford Ford whatsoever anymore, because they don't have any entry-level sedans. They don't have any entry-level crossovers anymore. Ford has now just become a very expensive brand, and that is not a good plan for longevity. Guys, grab your snacks and drinks, pour one out for the Ford Escape, and let's get into it. Let's go down memory lane first and foremost. You know, the Ford Escape's been around for 4 generations, and it was the first ever hybrid offered by Ford. We'll get into that hybrid here in a little bit, but this model debuted in 2000 as a 2001 model. Do you remember the Mazda Tribute? That was Mazda's branded version of it. Now, Mazda's version also was made in Japan. I find that interesting. And do you guys also remember the good old Mercury Mariner, which was a rebadge of the Ford Escape? Now, this first generation Ford Escape was boxy, SUV-like, and it kept kind of that identity for a long time. All right. And it kind of was a shrunken down Ford Explorer in some ways, at least in terms of design. It has been a very successful global model throughout the world, Australia, parts of Asia. There's a good old Mariner right there. Here's the hybrid, which debuted in 2005, and the hybrid was amazing. The hybrid was essentially a Toyota hybrid technology. Okay, Ford used Aishinseki, Aishinseki is, well, one of Toyota's prime suppliers alongside a Denso. Aishin still produces e-axles and hybrid transaxles for Toyota hybrids and other hybrids out there around the world. Okay, so it was pretty cutting edge for Ford to have a hybrid, but not only a hybrid, a very successful hybrid, around 30 miles per gallon. It had 155 horsepower. It could accelerate just about as well as a 200 horsepower V6 versions of this, but get 50% better fuel economy, maybe more than the V6 versions of this car. So it was revolutionary. It had Japanese reliability, if you want to think about it that way, using Japanese suppliers for the transaxles, as well as the battery was provided by a Japanese manufacturer too. Second generation looked awesome in my opinion. Shrunken down Explorer, and then they still offered the hybrid on it, and it wasn't until the third generation is where things went south in my opinion. This is one of the most forgettable Ford designs I have ever seen. It looks terrible. I think most of you I agree that this was a terrible design choice from Ford to lose its identity as a small boxy crossover now to just the most generic crossover. And when it came out with this 2020 model here, the fourth generation, I knew the writing was on the wall. It kind of looked like if the Ford Probe evolved into an ugly crossover. And it's just unfortunate because it's not a bad car and it sells well for Ford, the Escape. You can get in a hybrid, plug-in hybrid. You can get crazy deals on the plug-in hybrid out there right now. Like, you might want to snap one of these up. So we go over to automotive news. Ford has officially killed off its most affordable model, and it's just a travesty for people who want to buy a Ford. It's a travesty for affordability. Oh my gosh, with the irony here, you can't spell affordability without Ford, but right now they're anything but, because they just killed off their most affordable model and the Ford Escape. So the last Escape rolled off the assembly line, Louisville, Kentucky, December 17th. Ford is retooling the plant for a next generation platform that will underpin multiple electric vehicles, starting with a $30,000 midsize pickup truck in 2027. Out with the Escape, out with hybrids, in with fully electric vehicles. Now, Ford is able to use this electric vehicle platform to make more than just the $30,000 pickup truck that they've talked about so far. They can make an Escape EV if they want to, but that's really not where the market is right now, I would say. Affordability and EVs don't coincide in most cases. People want affordable gas cars and affordable hybrids. That's what the masses want. Yes, there's going to be niche plug-in hybrid, which, by the way, you can't see behind the tree. There is a plug-in hybrid out there, and the Lexus TX 550h Plus, but a much bigger niche, which is electric vehicles. It's still not where Ford needs to be with entry-level affordability. So Nick Anderson, general manager of Chuck Anderson Ford in Missouri, he says getting rid of the Escape is a huge mistake. The biggest thing that's been stressing the dealer council is affordability. And in his opinion, this takes it in the wrong direction. Anderson says the Escape makes up about 20% of his store's annual sales volume, behind only the F-150. It's been a favorite in Sacramento, California, according to another dealer and another general manager. He's worried about what's going to happen next. His fear is that people who are already in the Escape or in an Edge don't have a vehicle to come back to. He's like, you could put them in a Maverick, but what if they don't want a truck? You could put them in a Mach-E, but maybe they don't want an EV. You could put them in a Bronco Sport, but maybe they want a hybrid. Where do they go? Well, Ford has just killed off many different options and pathways here. You might be saying, Kirk, the Bronco Sport is a better looking vehicle. I think so anyways, but not everyone wants an off-roady vehicle. Okay. I feel like the Bronco Sport and the Escape, like think about the Escape and just its naming. The Escape was the original Bronco Sport. That's what it was. Then the Bronco Sport eventually it became what the Escape was. Okay, you could call the Bronco Sport now an Escape if you wanted to. Ford just changed the naming on it, and then they came out with these soft, generic crossovers that, yes, is great for affordability, but never move the needle. And Ford doesn't want to have boring vehicles, and so that's why they killed off the Escape and the Edge. They want something that's going to have brand recognition, something people are going to be physically visually attached to. With the Bronco Sport launching in 2020, it almost overtook the Escape in sales. Bronco Sport still hasn't overtaken the Escape in sales. This year, there's 10,000 difference through November. 132,000 sold for the Escape and 122,000 for the Bronco Sport. The Maverick has sold 141,000 through November. Now, one of the Ford representatives said the Escape is the oldest of the three, the Maverick, the Bronco Sport, and the Escape, and is likely the least profitable. Convincing buyers to stick with Ford and move up to the Bronco Sport is better for its bottom line. The irony here is Ford just wrote off $20 billion worth of EV waste. EV waste, no longer building a successor to the Lightning, killing off the Lightning, bailing on the E-Transit, disconnecting from the battery plants that they were building with SK Innovations and LG. They've completely cut and severed their EVs, $20 billion loss. And they could have put that money to make a better Escape, to make it more profitable, to make it more desirable. And instead, they're just like, we're just going to kill the Escape. The problem is, okay, like I said, there are no alternatives. There are no sedan alternatives below it in the U.S. market. The Bronco Sport is an alternative, but does not offer a hybrid. The Bronco Sport and the Maverick come out of the same plant in Mexico. That plant is at about 90% capacity. They can't produce an additional 130,000 Bronco Sports to make up for the lack of Escapes. It's impossible. They can produce maybe 5 to 10,000 more Bronco Sports, but that's not going to fix this massive volume deficit that Ford dealers are going to see. And now Ford buyers won't have an option. And what will this do? Honestly, what this will do is, well, when you take out the Escape, it will jack up the prices of the Maverick and the Bronco because there's less availability and more demand. Let's just say it's about 150,000 units. You take out 150,000 units and replace it with what? Nothing. Because in that plant, they're going to come out with EVs in 2 years. I guarantee you it's not going to be 130,000 to 150,000 Escape priced vehicles. There's no way. And people don't want EVs. In 2 years, people in the United States are still not going to want EVs unless there's solid state batteries or they're way cheaper or whatever changes. There's not that much that can change in just 2 years. But Ford's sales volume will be in the tank due to the lack of the Escape. Now, there is a supply of Escapes that are lasting, that should last well into 2026. So what we're going to do is we're going to look in my area real quick and find some Ford Escapes. Now, I recently looked, and this is one of the best deals you can get if you want a plug-in hybrid. I know, very niche, but the Ford Escape here, right here, let's go ahead. The 774 in my area, this volume will only get lessened, will only shrink because production has officially stopped. You can get an ST line for $3,000 off. Okay, would I spend more than 30 grand on a Ford Escape? No. Personally, I can't stand the looks of it, but maybe you guys, it doesn't bother you and you can still get like under 30 grand. I think it's a good deal. Look at this one for 21K. This is 10 grand off of MSRP right here over at Bill Curry for Ford in Tampa. 10K. All right. You always saying, Kirk, this is why Ford is killing this product, because they can't, they're struggling to make a profit on it. Maybe they're struggling to make a profit on it because they made it so damn ugly the last 2 generations. Maybe they're struggling to make a profit on it because they don't build it in Mexico like they do the Bronco Sport and Maverick. And just canceling one of the most the most popular segment in America, the midsize / compact crossover, is dumb. It's very, very dumb. Okay, so 20 grand. You can get a Ford Escape for 20 grand. Great buy. Great buy. But you know what? I would rather have the Escape plug-in hybrid here. Okay, you can get these for like 25K. Look, 13 grand off of MSRP, 15 grand off of MSRP. What is this? 16 grand off of MSRP for a Ford Escape plug-in hybrid? That is almost like, that's not even a no-brainer. Guys, that is just like, just go buy it. Okay, that's a good deal if you're able to plug in overnight. I know it doesn't have all-wheel drive. It's got a really small battery pack, 10.7 kilowatt hours with a range of 37 miles. Okay, so not great, but having front-wheel drive helps its efficiency quite a bit. But yeah, 25K, 23K for a plug-in hybrid. I mean, this is a sleeper buy right now. Really good buy. You guys might be saying, it's going to depreciate. Well, it's already depreciated 15K and it hasn't even left the lot. Okay, it doesn't matter. Drive this car into the ground for 25K and get crazy fuel economy if you're able to plug in. All right, overnight. And this still has the physical volume knob down here. Appreciate that. Really, really good buy here on the Escape plug-in hybrid. And, it's just sad as Ford kills off another model, following the Taurus, following the Focus, following the Fiesta. I'm following the Edge. I'm sure there are tons of other models that have gone over my head that Ford has canceled off. But Ford doesn't want to make cars that doesn't have their Pride belt buckle logo and brand heritage on it. Okay. You see the Bronco sign above my head. Definitely not sponsored. I just like the sign. Okay, so that tells you that, hey, just put a Bronco on everything. Put a Mustang on everything. Put an F-150 F-Series on everything. And it's too bad the Lightning didn't succeed because the Lightning was always something super sick growing up, supercharged V8s and stuff. Well, they killed that off because they couldn't compete with an electric pickup truck. All right, I'm not saying that it was bad. I've heard good things about it. It's just not where the market's at. And then there are other electric pickup trucks out there that people would rather buy, whether that's a Cybertruck or a Rivian. The Ford Maverick is amazing. The problem with the Ford Maverick, and I think I really like the Bronco Sport too. The Bronco Sport is just a little small. It doesn't have a hybrid. The Ford Maverick doesn't have enough volume. I mean, look at the deals you can get on a Maverick right now, well under 25K. So 5 grand off of MSRP. I saw an XLT on here that is 6 grand off of MSRP, under 27K. Great buys as well. The Ford Maverick's one of my favorite vehicles out there on the market. All right. Just with its unique package. It's a truck. It's a Prius. If you want to think about it that way, you can get it in all-wheel drive. It drives really, really nicely, and it's very affordable. The problem is now that the Escape is gone, once all that volume dries up, Ford is going to have to push these buyers to Mavericks, to Bronco sports. And, I have a fear that these prices will only go up because there's just lack of volume for Ford. Now, the dealers are highly concerned because if they don't have an entry-level product that isn't a truck or a Bronco. You know, they don't have an entry-level sedan or crossover anymore. Okay. People will leave for other brands, like without hesitation. Loyalty is probably tougher than ever, unless you're like Toyota, Honda, unless you're like an F-150 buyer. Okay. Loyalty is tough. Okay. Or truck buyer. Truck buyers in general are super loyal to their brands. Okay. Ram, Chevy, Ford. But outside of that, outside of your traditional Ford people, your Porsche people, your BMW people, most people out there are not loyal to a specific brand. And Ford is going to lose a lot of buyers here due to a lack of generic crossover. You might be saying, Kirk, good riddance. No one wants boring products. Well, 150,000 people a year bought the boring Escape, and they're probably pretty happy with it. But it's done. It's dead. Put a fork in it, and we'll probably get an EV subcompact crossover and compact crossover in 2028 or something. And that will be expensive and maybe not what the market's asking for in 2 years. Who knows? Who knows? Time will tell. But I'll see you guys in the comments. This one's a tough one. I think my niece drives a Ford Escape. I haven't seen it. She lives in a different state, but I think she has a Ford Escape, the boxy second generation, not the lame third or fourth gens. But hey, anyways, thank you guys. I'll see you in the comments. Long live the Ford Escape and long live Ford's hybrid technology. Let's hope we can get it in the Bronco Sport and other more affordable Fords in the future. Take care, guys, and peace.